Tonight on Behind the Details with Chelsea, we sit down with my special guest and friend, Brian Spitler from Auction Car Reconditioning, formerly known as Apex Detail. With almost 250,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel, Brian has been responsible for teaching and influencing thousands of detailers over the years, myself included. And so tonight I'm excited to hear a little bit more of his origin story, some of the things he has learned over the years with detailing. We're going to talk products, coatings, and anything you guys might ask. So make sure you guys stay tuned for our Q&A at the very end of this video. But let's go ahead and get started with the show. Good
Wow, what an intro.
I
love the Dr. Evil thumbnail.
I was working with the best I got, Brian. You're very limited with photos online.
I love it.
Oh, I'm so honored to have you tonight as my guest. Welcome to all of you who are watching. For those of you who are not familiar with this man, this is Brian Spitler. We all know you as Apex Detail. I still had to Google the new YouTube name, Auction Car Reconditioning. Yeah. But you have been, you're I think a giant in this industry, at least within the content creator influencer world, because I think people have always just appreciated your authenticity, your honesty, and your just straightforwardness with teaching people. We know you're not out there shilling products, like you just are true to yourself. And I think we've all gravitated towards that. So I'm excited to hang out with you tonight. So thanks for coming on the show.
I'm happy to be here.
So we've got a few people watching. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
The authenticity part of it and not, that all had to do with just not having time for the BS. I wanted to get straight at it and not waste my time, not waste your time, especially as, the viewers, and just get to what I wanted to pass on. I mean, I've had so many years of failures and some successes. I wanted to pass on the information to help you guys not have to go through what I did. So,
well, that gives us that perfect segue, Brian, to take us back to kind of where it all started. You're saying you've learned all of this stuff over the years. Can you share a little bit of what made you get started into detailing? Like, when did you start? What year? Do you remember?
88. Yeah. It was fall of 88.
4. Okay. Good God.
That's when we were just transitioning from single stage to clear coat. 85 to the early 90s was that period.
How old are you?
55.
You don't look it. I would have never guessed that. I've always thought you were like similar in age to me.
No, I am an old coot.
Okay. But still, 88, you're 55, I'm 40. So you started pretty young. Like what got you your start into detailing?
Yeah, our family had a couple businesses within the automotive industry, and one of them was a body shop. And it was coming up to the year where I was going to get, we didn't mess around back then like youth does today with getting our license. No hesitation. On the birthday, or at least a couple days after, we were getting that license or the permit. And I needed to pay for the insurance for my first car. And my first car was way over my head. And it was way too expensive for me to own it and have the insurance for it.
What was it?
I was going to do it. It was a 76 Corvette Stingray.
Nice.
Not in great shape, but that's what I always pick up.
Yeah.
So I had to pay for the insurance, and our body shop, we needed somebody at the very last bay where the cars were coming through. And of course, they're coming through with Bondo dust and you name every type of dirt and particulate from a body shop getting in a car. So we had to clean the inside out, make it presentable for the customer. And the body shop guys, the guys that paint, God love them. They are so talented, and I love what they do because I'm enjoying it as well now. They can cut paint, but they don't know how to finish it. They love to cut with the rotary, and back then we had 25-pound rotaries the size of a Mako shark, and wool would fly off, go up your nose. You'd be sneezing the rest of the day. And the compound was a big 5-gallon pail with a rag hanging out of it that was down onto the floor. You would pick it up, slap it on the car. They would do their cutting. And when it gets out in the sunlight, you can imagine what that looked like.
Yeah.
But back then it was what it was.
Yeah. So when you were working in the body shop, like how did it evolve for you to start a business of your own?
Well, I did that at the end of the body shop for a couple of years, and then I started a trucking company, and I always
Okay.
kept the end bay for when everybody showed up, and I didn't have to go out for detailing because at that point it was in my blood. So um, I couldn't go through a week without detailing something: a motorcycle, a car, employee's car, customer's car. So I kept doing it, and I kept doing it for 15 years as I went through that trucking company. When I sold it, I was thinking, what the hell am I going to do now? So I thought, well, something that never felt like a job to me was detailing.
Mhm.
So that's when I started. I was mobile at that time, did that for 3 years, found a
Okay.
shop. And when I found the shop, that's pretty much when things took off.
What was it like for you going from mobile to a shop? Was that a hard transition? Like, did you have certain routines that you were comfortable with in a mobile setting was that hard for you to transition?
Yeah, and the biggest thing with the transition was the overhead that you had to get used to with a shop compared
Mm,
to not having too much of an overhead mobile. Your car insurance, gas money, some wear and tear uh, for a van or a station wagon. But with the shop, there's the shop insurance, there's the overhead, there's the electricity, there's the water, there's the trash. And that's very stressful. And it takes, when you get into a location, you're looking at about 2 to 5 years before things really start to take off and you fill out the calendar and things are exploding. And yeah, it's very uncomfortable.
yeah. Did you have any employees at this point?
No, it was myself for probably the first 7 years. It was by myself.
Wow. And how many vehicles could you handle by yourself at the shop? At your
Well, at
first shop?
that point, there wasn't, coatings were, it was mostly just a little bit of paint correction, mostly cleaning. And you can
Okay.
do, for me, 2 to 3 a day.
Okay. That's not bad. I can barely
No,
do one.
no, it was up early and home late.
Yeah, did you
And
did you have were you married at this point or did you have a family at this point?
yes, yes. Yeah, at
Okay.
that point, I didn't have little Brian at that point. I've been through two marriages.
Okay.
The second one, Brian lost his mom, so I don't really talk about that too much. I don't get into it, but I've raised him since he was 8. It's just been uh, Brian and myself.
Okay. So when you were working in your shop, was that when you got into social media? When did you start doing the social media side of things?
That wasn't until quite late, 7, 8 years ago, and that wasn't. I wasn't. I had a website and Google Business. I don't even know if that existed or
No, it didn't.
no. So really nothing until YouTube, and that was because of my son wanted to start a channel for his gaming that he was into, and he was too shy to get in front of a camera and speak. And I
So
had
did he
had
film for you?
oh no, he didn't. He wanted to start a channel, get on there, and be like the bigger channels. I can't remember who some of them were. That Cutie Pie or whatever his name was.
Yeah.
Um, but he lost interest. And when I started doing it, I started connecting with all, just like your
Mhm.
viewers and the people you connect with. That is so valuable to me. And I enjoyed it so much. And I just kept doing it. But I started the channel because he was shy getting on in front of the camera and speaking. And I wanted to show him, hey, if I can do it, you can do it. Because I had just had a stroke about a year and a half before that. And
Okay. Before
residual,
you started social media period.
yes, yep,
Okay.
yeah. And the residual of the stroke was if I didn't slow down my speaking, my mouth could get way ahead of me, and it would be a slur here and there. Some people don't hear it and don't notice it, but I do. Even every video I do. and I have to just concentrate on slowing down and, you know, concentrate on every word.
I've never once felt like you've spoke fast. I think Luke
Uh,
Wilson, he speaks really fast. There are times that I'm like, whew, but
yeah, yeah,
I feel like you've always had a good cadence when you're speaking. You make it very enjoyable for whoever's listening. So you hide
for
it
myself
well.
and for the viewer. Yeah.
So what was it like for you when you first started social media way back when? Because I feel like let's see, 2006 was about the time that YouTube started to come onto the scene. So this was probably well after YouTube was established that you started. You and I were talking behind the studio before this started. I've been doing YouTube about 5 years. So you started about 2 years prior to me.
About
And
that.
like, what was it like when you first started out? And then when you started to see your channel grow, like, what was that like for you?
Well, at first it was, getting the right camera, getting the right audio. Audio I struggled with for the longest time because they didn't come out with really anything decent
Hmm.
for quite some time. There was no Rode mics, lavaliers, anything like that. It was you had to be right next to the camera at that point. And what I'm not even sure if it was a phone or one of the first GoPros, which were horrible, that I started
Hmm.
to use. And or it was just a digital camera I found off the shelf of a secondhand store just to start with. So for me, the first year or two was just getting used to that, getting used to what I wanted to relate to the audience and how I could capture that without being boring. And some videos were too loud, some videos you couldn't hear me. Some videos I had the camera too far away, too close. I was bumping it, I was knocking it over. So it was the learning curve, learning experience, but it was fun.
Yeah. Well, I know for me, we were talking because I see that thing behind the wall there or behind your head on the wall. That's kind of a huge deal, reaching 100,000 subscribers. What was that like for you when you got that?
I, I couldn't even believe that I was getting 10, 20, 30,000 subscribers. I couldn't believe that anybody wanted to watch what I was doing, hear what I had to say. I didn't worry about it. I just kept doing what I love doing, and that was passing on information. And you don't get that plaque till you hit 150, 175 before you even get the plaque because they're pumping out so many of them these
Seriously,
days. Yeah, it takes some time before you
I
get it.
highly doubt I'll ever reach that goal, but that's just
You
good to know
will.
for reference.
You will.
I don't know.
Just
I
keep
was telling
producing.
you earlier. I don't know if like I feel like it would have happened at this point or close to it. Maybe the algorithm is just not in a female detailer's favor, but gosh darn it, I'm
It's
gonna give it everything I've got.
it's a slow curve at first, but it will take off. I guarantee it. Just keep doing what you're doing.
It's in God's hands at this point. I'm just trusting him for my future because I have no idea what tomorrow holds. But it's definitely goals. I will say that you're one of the larger YouTube channels out there, and I feel like you've just always put out consistent, solid content. But what was it like for you? Like, how do you feel? This was one question that I had for you. How do you feel like social media has changed over the years? From 7 years ago to now, what is it like for you as a content creator or someone who's just, I don't know, an influencer?
I can't say anything has nothing has really changed for the good or bad because I just concentrate on the information I want to relay and working on that, getting it up, doing the just as doing the editing, getting it up there. I don't worry about anything else. I do keep a close tab on the responses in the comment section so I can answer questions and
Mhm.
steer the channel to where I can be more helpful. And that has changed a lot throughout the years because we go from coatings and then PPF is introduced, paint protection film, and so many different tools and techniques and polish creams, correction fluids. So that the ebbs and flows of that, is what guides you. Other than that, the change in YouTube with the algorithm and some small things like that, but you just adjust.
What has been your favorite thing about creating content?
The connection with the viewers, down in the comment section to emails, messages, texts, phone calls, that that connection with people that love what I'm doing. It's like a huge family.
How do you manage all the, because I'm I'm almost at 30,000. I'm nowhere near where you're at, but I am starting to get people calling me or emailing me constantly asking questions. And sometimes they'll go onto like my business website that I have for customers and they'll use like the chat feature or the email feature there to like contact me to ask me questions. And I'm like, how do I manage like all of that extra? Like, how do you find ways to manage all that? Because you've always made time for people like me when I've had questions, and I can imagine you do the same for everyone else. How do you find the time to answer everyone's questions on a channel that size?
It can pile up, and you can't keep up with everything. What I'll do is I'll just let it. When I'm here helping the boys at the shop, and I still come here on a daily basis and do work and help, keep things smoothly running for the boys, Brian and Brian, and we have somebody else that helps them as well. I'll stop at a break if I'm waiting for something to dry, or if I'm waiting for the plotter to cut me some film. I'll jump on and answer a question either through email or messages. I still get calls every day, but I got to kind of let them go to the answering machine until I have time to call them back. But I try to keep up with them. It's tough. You can't keep up with every single one. You just gotta just do what you can. You
Yeah.
can't you can't spread yourself too thin. You'll have burnout and all kinds of health issues.
So, what was it like for you when you established your YouTube channel, Apex Detail, and you did change the name this past year? What made you go from Apex Detail to Auction Car Reconditioning? Um, I'm curious what made you shift the name.
A couple of reasons, and the most important one is Apex Detail is now proprietary to what my son is doing because it's his now.
Okay. Okay.
So I could have just started a new channel and let him take over the content that was there, but then he made a good point that there are so many followers there that want to keep in contact with me. Just change the name and they'll start a channel, Apex Detail. So at nighttime when they leave, 4, 5, 6, 7, whenever they leave, I get to start my, uh, I don't know if you want to call it a side gig or just something I enjoy, but I always loved flipping cars, and I get such satisfaction going to the auctions and bidding and winning bids and sometimes losing them. And it is a big gamble because you don't know where you're, just like I show in the videos, you don't know what you're getting because you can't test drive the vehicles there. So,
Hmm. Do you go to
yeah.
Mannheim Auto Auction for that?
Mannheim, Carriage Trade, Lebanon Auto Auction,
Okay.
um, Garden Spot, and then the Copart and IAA that are near me.
Okay. I didn't realize there were so many. I just assumed it was Mannheim Auto Auction because they're so big.
Yeah, no, there's a lot more that I don't even get to. You can go to one
Seriously.
every day if you wanted to.
Wow. Now, do they allow anyone to go and bid on the cars? I thought you had to have like a specific license to be able to gain access to those or something like that.
Carriage Trade is public. Copart and IAA, you don't need a dealer's license. You can purchase from them. You can walk through. There are dealer-only auctions. I do have a new license now, so that's wholesale. Now I'm working on retail so I can sell to the public as well. It
Okay.
is a lot of steps. I showed it on one of the videos on my channel, how many steps you have to take. It's like 16 different steps, and
Keith is telling me that if I watched your channel, I
it's
would know.
yeah.
I will say this, Keith. Brian and I were talking about this. YouTube did something with their notifications that I wasn't getting your notifications that you were creating new stuff. I honestly didn't even know you had changed the name until Aaron told me. And I was like, what? Because when I went to search for Apex, it showed up Auction Car Reconditioning, but I was like, this is different. So
it will do that. But
I
when
wasn't
you,
getting notifications that you had videos out there. So,
yeah, yeah, if you change your brand, if you rebrand, it's a huge gamble, and you're going to be punished by the algorithm because it gets confused. Am I sending them? Am I still sending them to Apex Detail, or is this, So
mm.
for many reasons, it is a gamble. You do lose a lot of your audience as well. But I grew the first one to 250,000, and I can do it again. But another
Sounds so
reason,
easy, Brian.
well, there is no in me. I have no quit. The drive. Once I have something in my sights, I just don't let anything stop me. So
So does the
I'll do it again.
placard say Apex Detail, and does your son say that that's for him?
Yeah, it does. Present it to Apex Detail, and that's for the passing of the first 100,000 subscribers.
But does Junior like say, "Oh, that's my channel"?
Well, no, but it belongs to the shop, so it stays here on this wall.
Well, that's freaking awesome.
And if I get one, I guess the next one I'll never reach, and that's a million. That's when you get the gold, I believe. That one will come home if that happens.
You'll be like Pan. Oh,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
that's a lot of subscribers.
Go go Jin, go go Gin. I don't know. We'll go say go go Jin. Wants to know, is your son's channel officially live yet?
Oh, absolutely not. Even after all this time, he's still afraid to get in front of the camera and work. He likes to be in the background, but he's still working on speaking in front of the camera, and he has a lot of footage. He just needs to edit it and get comfortable and release it. So he's working on it.
That's the biggest thing I tell people. I mean, I've had a couple friends ask me like, "Oh yeah, I'm nervous." And I'm like, "Dude, just film it. Even if you don't make it public, just put it out there. Watch it a few times. Maybe send it to a friend, ask them." But I'm like, "Just put yourself out there. The worst that can happen is no one watches it. But if no one watches it, like you'll never know, you know?"
And you
But
you can use that time when nobody's watching to fine tune everything, and
mhm.
that's what I did the first couple of years.
What were your first videos like? Like, do you look
Oh,
back at them now and you're just like, "Oh, why did anybody watch?"
I wanted to take them down so bad, but I just left them up so I could always remember where I came from. They were just so grufty, and like I said, the sound would, and when the first video would be too loud, way too loud, and then they would say it too. I blew their eardrums out, and then the next one I would have the opposite way, and you couldn't hear me. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
they
ha
they were rough and grainy.
Mhm. I filmed on, like, an old Android phone, and I looking back at some of my old ones, because every now and then, like, they have higher views, some of them are, hundreds of thousands of views, but I'll go back and watch them and answer questions that people comment recently, and I'm like, "Why are people still watching this? This is awful." And I wanna take it down, but they're doing good in views, so I'm just like, "They're so much better, guys. Just watch the new ones. It'll be so much better."
Yeah, there's a couple old ones too that I would love to take them down, but I keep them up.
We've got a couple questions. Maybe we'll try to answer some of these. I don't think this one is serious. John Weber, does Brian like the toilet paper coming over the top of the roll or from underneath? Let's maybe
Underneath,
go a little underneath.
no hesitation there.
Dude, you're not a top of the roll kind of guy.
Nope.
That's why you're single. Just kidding. Okay, we're going to move on to the next one. Brian, using the low nap towel to wipe off, how long do you wait to wipe off BC9, and do you use two different towels?
So with now BC, that depends on what the season is. If it's nice and cool during winter and fall, I could do half the hood. When it gets humid in here and the air conditioner has a hard time keeping up, I have to really downsize that work area to about a 3x3, 4x4 section. Um, Two different towels. I have a whole pack of towels next to me. When I feel that they're starting to get when they absorb too much product and I'm just pushing the product around rather than picking up the transfer solution, switch to another two, fold them into, fours, and you have a couple different sides there to work with. But I go through at least half a dozen to a dozen, easy.
Okay. Now, remind me, I've used BC1 extensively here, but remind me of all the coatings that you have out now, because you have a lot now.
Yeah, BC1, that was the first one.
Mm-hmm.
That's the 3 year, 3 to 5 year.
Mm-hmm.
And then BC2 was a spray sealant version.
Yeah.
Um,
Did you
if
discontinue
anybody
that?
remembers, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Did you discontinue that?
It was almost impossible to get raw materials for that one because they were limited,
Okay.
and there were some bigger companies that had dibs on getting what they wanted to get. So you could say I got seconds, and
Okay.
it just wasn't enough to keep up, making a batch that I need to. I love the product because I sort of had what I had in mind was can coat or tack moonlight for that product, 25% polysiloxane, and you can have a spray sealant that would last 9 months, a year, and you could apply it in sunlight. But it was so hard to get the raw materials for it. I couldn't carry it anymore, or I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't make promises to.
Okay. So then BC1, BC2, and then you have,
And then BC3 is the detailer.
okay.
Polyxylazane between 5 and 10%. And then BC4 was the spray sealant for glass, just your basic hydrophobic, Rain-X type of product. And then I wanted a long-term version of that, so that the glass coating, that BC6. And then the wheel coating was after that. So that was a track grade wheel coating that could deal with up to about 1,000 degrees or so.
Wow.
And then, well, BC7, that was the one I was always most proud of. I love that one. 5 year coating, one of the most concentrated polysiloxane coatings available. And I mean, there is no coating that'll last past 5 years, just to be completely realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, And then there were a couple after that, and BC10 and BC11. BC10 is like BC7, but we moved the sliders to bump up the slickness because slickness is very important. You have something brush up against your car, your sweater, your clothing. You go down a driveway and you got the bushes hanging over and the leaves are brushing up against it. Slickness can help a little bit cut down on the marring. So we wanted to make BC7 slicker, so we came out with that version. And then BC10 protects interiors, all materials from leather to Alcantara to cloth to your floor mats, absolutely everything with just one product.
Okay. And are all of those products sold on the House of Rags website?
Yes,
Okay, so the
all
whole
at
line is
certain
sold there.
do.
Okay. If I were to try a new ceramic coating from you, which one would you recommend that I try next? Because I've always enjoyed the BC1, but do you feel like in Pennsylvania that one of your coatings performs better for customers like ours?
Our customers, they all get BC7 or BC10 now that we have 10 out there, because they're both pretty much on the same level with durability. One's
Okay.
just a lot slicker
What
than
is
the other.
BC10 is slicker?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll have to order a bottle of BC10 then. I'll have to try that out. I've had people asking me constantly, they'll throw out like BC5, 7, 6, 1. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, can we have a name with them so that we can like remember which one? Because I'm not good with numbers. Like I
Yeah,
will
I,
just
I
say I'm,
tried to, after, BC10, I tried to put underneath there, what it was on each label. So
I know. It's just, that's how you refer to it. But whenever people throw out, did you try BC7? I'm like, which one is that? I didn't remember.
which one? What
Yeah.
does that do?
I have to go back and like look it up. I'm like, okay, no, I haven't tried that one, or yes, I've tried that one. All right, so we've got another question here.
If I was to do it over again, and all I had in mind was just being a coating company or a detail product company,
Hmm.
I would have done it a lot better. Again, and I always had to reiterate the products that we designed and started were always for the shop first. And then when I started to, talk about them on the channel, they would ask if they can get their hands on. So I'm like, you know what? Let's create a site and open it up to so everybody that wanted to try them. But I never had in mind to become like a McGuire's or a chemical company. I just wanted to have them available. So how they're labeled, how they're numbered was something that made it easier for us here at the shop.
Got it. I get it. John Weber, again, with a not so serious question, which is totally fine. What is the shop manager's birthday? I'm going to assume that's your dog, right?
Yeah, that's my best buddy. We brought her home October 13 years ago. She's an old timer.
Wow. How do you handle the dog slobber around customers' cars? Like that would cause my OCD to like freak out.
We have no problem with that. She is free to roam the shop as she pleases. And on her own, she'll find a place in the corner of the shop or 6, 7 feet away from me.
I'm
Out
going
of
to
the way.
assume she's down below because you keep looking
Always.
down.
Always. I always see that white stripe pointing at me from afar or just right next to me when she can. But no, she's always, the first 3 years, she was a little rowdy and went through her spats where she would run back and forth and go crazy. After that, she was a chill dog and one of the best dogs I've ever had, one of the best buddies. But as long as she could see me, she's chill and out of the way. No hair problems, no slobber. Now, as a burner, twice a year there is a blowout where every day I can comb her and get a volleyball-sized
Holy crap.
hair. But we just keep her in the office then to keep her away from the film so we don't get into PPF.
I was going to say, like, how do you deal with that in like a sterile environment for film? But
yeah, then she just stays in the office and chills there until she gets over that. And it ends quickly. Then she come right back at the shop.
That's awesome.
We've had to pick a hair or two out from under the film here or there, but
it's worth it for you, probably.
Yes.
Aw, you totally love her.
Yep. Yep, that's my buddy.
David Boyce wants to know, is this your first Holden that you're detailing? And is the owner Australian?
Not the first one, but the first one that the owner kept. The first one that we did, it was sold quickly, so we didn't even get to keep up with our work on it. This one here is local, and he's going to hold on to it for quite some time. It's so fun. Right-hand drive, not Australian. No, you're not.
Okay. I actually had to look that up. What is a Holden?
It's the Australian version of the Chevy SS, and it comes in like a station wagon form.
Again, I should probably watch your channel because they're probably watching you work on this car, correct?
Yeah, I think
I'm the worst interviewer ever. I didn't crash course your channel. You're standing next to it?
I was standing next to it in my last video, okay. I believe.
I need to go binge your videos. Like I said, they're just not notifying me that you have new stuff. So guys, give me some
grace. I got 1,600 videos, so that's 1,600 views. You're going to watch all of them, right?
Totally, Brian.
I can't believe 1,600 videos. I just noticed that the other day too.
I will say this. My first few years of detailing, I watched every single one of your videos, sometimes numerous times, from your interior detailing to paint correction to your product reviews. I think you were the one person that I trusted the most when it came to a product review. So your early stuff, I watched so much. You and I were talking about this before we went live, though. I'm so busy these days that I rarely watch other detailing YouTube channels. I don't have time, and sometimes I'm so tired of watching my own content over and over that I'm like, I just need a break. I need a breather. And I feel like also that helps me stay fresh instead of feeling like I'm just copying other people. So I don't take it personally that I haven't watched any of your stuff, because you probably haven't seen any of my new stuff, which is totally fine.
The only detailing videos that I watch nowadays are when I have to edit the ones that I do, which are few and far in between, it keeps it fresh. I do, I'm not going to give up completely on the detailing videos because there's still a lot. I mean, I bring in cars that are hammered. So there's a lot that I can teach correcting them. and
Mhm.
help people bring their own car around, or if you're doing it for a business. So that will never stop, but I sneak in other stuff that I enjoy as well. But I get what you're saying, and another reason besides retiring from the full time ebb and flow of a fast paced shop,
Mhm.
uh, I put my time in detailing, and I want to experience other things. And I also believe you guys can let me know down in the comment section that it just seems like there's a lot of regurgitated detailing videos out these days, and it's just repeat, repeat, repeat. And you watch one, you watch them all.
Yeah. I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. Like even when there's new brands that come out, there's always this it's like a Black Friday feeling, like we feel this rush to be the first one to break the news on it. And
Yeah,
there are times that uh, it takes me a while to line up the right car for the right product because I don't want to just slap on anything, and it really not showcase the product because I do take that seriously. I don't get paid from companies, but I wanna put that product in the best light possible to be able
give it
to
the
answer.
best chance.
Yeah, to answer all the questions that people might have. Like, you don't put, a certain car on like a white car, certain products on a white car. You're not gonna see it very well. You wanna line up the right car. You don't wanna showcase like a carpet shampoo on a clean car. There's certain ones, and I can't always line up that car for the right product. So sometimes it takes time for me to actually be able to film it and then editing and then put it out. And by that time, the wave of the new trend is like 3 months past. And I'm like, well, I missed
I
that
was
one.
always late to the game
I
for
missed
that
that
same
one.
reason. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Anytime
was
like
always
the
late to the party.
McGuire's or the Turtle Wax stuff came out, I was like 3 months behind. And I'm like, people are so sick of it at this point. They don't want to see my stuff. So then I'm like,
They do. They do. They want to see your perspective. They were patient and waited for me as well. I always appreciated that because, like you, I couldn't run the schedule from the channel. I had to run the schedule for the shop, and if I
yeah.
got footage for that,
Mm-hmm.
it took time. Sometimes 6 months down the road,
Yeah.
and sometimes the product had already failed since then. And
Well, and it is nice sometimes to be able to wait to see how things do. Like when certain products came out, do you remember like when Turtle Wax had their black polish and black wax?
yep,
And they were doing like they were sending out all their products to all the influencers. And I waited, and I mean, people weren't really a fan of it. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not gonna worry about that one. I don't have
it's
to
crazy.
review.
It seems like they really hit their stride for a while, and now they're quiet. I don't
Yeah.
see. I'm not watching videos. Maybe they are, but it seems like they're a little quiet right now. And they're really hitting their stride and really catching up to modern times. And I enjoyed some of the products I helped work on.
Yeah.
I could probably say that now. There's a good handful of products that they were getting there. Is the best way I could put it.
I feel like they caught up finally
Yes.
to the innovation. And there are certain brands that like people will send me products that I'm just like, I feel like you're 10 years behind, or maybe 5 years behind. You're putting out like maybe a ceramic coating now when there's been so much innovation done to ceramic coatings nowadays that I'm just like, it's almost outdated and it's almost irrelevant in reviewing it because it's like, okay, good for you. You came out with a coating, but there's also 30 other ones that
Yeah.
look just like it that have been out for 5 years.
Yeah. Join the 1,600 other
Yeah.
coatings that are pretty much the same thing.
Like, how do you choose products to review these days? Like, and how does that differ from when you first started doing YouTube? Like, were you as selective back then in the products that you chose to highlight or demonstrate? Or are you more particular now because it's just, like you said, regurgitating the same thing over and over? Do you feel like it has to be fresh and new to really feature it?
Um, since I did the rebranding, I haven't done any. I don't do reviews.
Okay.
Um, uh,
Is that
so
intentional?
the polisher from DIY, I did that. I showed that,
Okay.
and I purchased it, and I started to use it. So I thought it was fair to break that down like I did every other polisher. So I broke it down a little bit and kind of gave some of the details on that. But as for products, no, I haven't done any of that. Um,
You probably don't miss it.
Not at all. There was now back in the day, there was a long list. That's how I kept up with it. I just made a list and I would shuffle things as to what the viewers wanted to see. If they wanted to see something, I would put it up towards the top and bump other stuff down. Um, yeah, I never, I didn't do the sponsored video. Because to me, then I would always have something stuck in my mind that I'd have to have something nice to say.
Hmm.
So what I did was I'd have my son keep track of things being shipped in because now I had stuff at the peak and the height of those reviews. That UPS Express truck and DHS truck was coming in every single day dropping off stuff. And what I did
Yeah.
was I had my son go out and get it and then take it out of the package and put everything together. So I don't know what was sent for free. Because even if something was sent for free, and it's not sponsored, believe me, it's in your head. And maybe
Yeah.
I should have something nice to say about this. And I
There's a
didn't want,
gratefulness.
exactly. I didn't want
Yeah.
that. I just wanted the true experience to come out. So I would just put it all together, and that way I wouldn't know.
That's actually pretty ingenious. I wish I could do that. My husband literally, he'll be like, "There's another box." And I'm like, I didn't even I mean, so I don't even order things these days. Some companies just, "Hey, I'm sent like I got a mystery box from Black Rhino that I had no idea was coming." I'm like, "Okay, cool. I got a box." Or people will send me just anything and I'm like, Am I supposed to do a video with it?" Like, I have no idea.
Yeah, because I purchased a lot of stuff. I would spend a decent amount of money purchasing stuff, and then it would all come together. So that way, if he just put it together out of the
Mhm.
box, there would be no way I knew. Um, so that's how I did it. I don't
I
miss it.
I mean, I do enjoy doing product reviews, and I don't necessarily feel pressure that it has to be a favorable review. But if I don't like it, I just don't review it. Like it's if you get a review, it's because I did like it. If you hear crickets, it's because I was just like I'm struggling to understand this product's either identity or what would make someone like what would make me say go buy this, go try this. It's actually good, in comparison to all the other products out there. Cause I do take the expenses or the amount that certain things cost seriously for a lot of people. I'm not wealthy by any means. Like I'm very frugal. I mean, we're like in Pennsylvania Dutch country. We're pretty cheap people, Brian. Like, we're penny pinchers definitely and I just don't go out and buy all these
Well, I'm
products.
glad you are because I don't have that voice of reasoning on my shoulder.
I
I'm out there, you know,
well,
if
I've
I see a
got
vet, if I see this, if I see that.
I would love to have that problem. I mean, don't get me wrong, I did just buy a new fountain for my front porch that my husband isn't very happy about, but it's beautiful.
Good
That's
for you.
maybe my
Good for you.
impulse buys. I don't buy
Earned some
Corvettes, so
hard
that's for
work,
sure.
well deserved.
Yeah, it's gonna be my little utopia. Maybe I'll sit down with people and do a video and they can enjoy the beautiful bird fountain. But there are certain things when it comes to buying products or recommending a product, I do take that role very seriously that I'm not just gonna go out and shill a product and say, go buy it. Like there has to be a reason for you to go buy it.
Well, I,
And sometimes I
I,
struggle with understanding that reason.
I thought it was important to do both. So I did products that I would never use again. I often thought about that. Am I going to release this? But again, since I wasn't beholden to the company because I was paid.
Mhm.
Um, I had that freedom. Now, you'd be surprised how many, cease and desist or whatever, I got a lot of communication from lawyers because of that.
Really?
But yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
How did you handle that?
I don't even know if there were
It got put
three
in a
or four I
pile.
would love to mention, but I'd probably get another one. So yeah, well, I had an attorney, so I'd have him handle it, and I would seek advice what I could talk about and what I can't.
Wow. So you're telling me if I grow that that's a reality I might have to face.
Yeah, yeah. If you're going to keep being authentic and transparent, yeah. that's what you'll have to deal with.
Huh. Good to know. Have a retainer, a lawyer on retainer. Note to self, find a lawyer. Okay.
$5,000 retainer.
Oh, I don't want that. No, we're gonna try to find a family friend who works for cheap, or maybe we can barter. Um, David Boyce wants to know, Brian, now that you have a huge truck the size of a house, is it likely you'll get yourself a Clydesdale for the backyard?
Maybe. You never know. It feels like I have a Clydesdale next to me every day. Her paws are bigger than my hand.
How many vehicles do you own now?
Oh, I don't
And
want to
let's
think about
not
it because
count the
then I think
ones you're
about the insurance that I'm
reconditioning.
paying. Quite a few. So I have toys that that have been shown on the channel quite some time ago. Some I've kept, some I've gotten rid of, and then the ones that you see for the well, the dealership. I'm not going to have a dealership with cars parked outside. I'm going to have one or two or three that I'm constantly circulating. But yeah, I have the truck to pull the trailer so I can bring the cars home. That way I don't have to take somebody with me to the auction to bring a car back. And then quite a few that I have bought to flip, and I fall in love with them so easy that I want to keep them all, but you can't keep them all. The fun part about this is experiencing different cars, no matter how bland they might be to some people, that I've never had, I've never owned, I've never driven. And this way I can experience them all and then send them down the road when I'm done.
Hmm. Well, honestly, I buy a fountain, you just buy more cars, and that's how you enjoy all your hard work. So,
Then I get rid of them and get some
does
more.
does your son borrow any of them?
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. He's always been for that instant torque and draw back in your seat, and you get that from electric cars. So he's always been a Tesla boy.
Okay. And I think this is meant to be more of a compliment. Brian, I wish you could bestow upon us viewers how to remain a humble individual despite a success.
I don't know any other way. I don't know any other way but to be calm, to let things be, and to not brag or make yourself something that you're not. My parents hammered that into me, so I can thank them for that.
What were your parents like?
So my dad was, they were both hard workers. My mom worked in, so it was, the upbringing was, I'd say lower middle income.
Okay.
And my dad was a truck driver, and then he started his own shop, and then he started another shop. My mom worked at a mill at the same time. So,
Okay.
and then she quit that and started working for my dad, secretary in both, and then actually did the gas pumps for the shop. So they were always hard workers, honest, hard workers, humble, and polite, and just loved everybody.
Did you have any siblings?
I have three brothers, 10, 11, and 12 years older.
Oh, wow. So
Only
you're
two
the baby.
remaining. They're getting old, yeah. So I have two remaining.
You're hoping they're watching, aren't you?
I know
That was a
one that
little
does
brother dig.
regularly. Yeah, he's the oldest one. I take him out, make sure he gets out, and take him to movies and take him to dinner and stuff. Keep
That's
him
funny.
keep him occupied.
Brian, David wants to know, what was it like visiting the PPG Corporation years ago? And what's
Oh
their
my gosh,
reasoning for making
it's
clear coat so thin in modern day vehicles?
that was incredible. Spent a
Was that
couple
in
days
Pittsburgh?
there together. Yeah, yeah. Uniontown, Pittsburgh. I'm not sure of the township it's in, but a couple different times. So many different experiences. So I got to see the accelerator where they put a panel into a machine, one with a certain type of clear coat, one with no clear coat, and it would accelerate it 10 years. And the time it took me to walk around and do a tour. And when they pulled it back out at the end, one with their special clear coat, nice and dark and rich, the other one faded and oxidized. It was so cool to see that. I learned so much. I also learned that the manufacturers are not putting the thickness of clear coat that PP&G or these companies that make it. They would like 2 to 2.5 mils, and we're barely getting a mil, and that's getting thinner as they're transitioning to water-based clear coat.
Mm-hmm.
So they never thought. So in other words, they instilled in me that before you even put a polisher to the panel, you're removing too much because there's not enough on there. So when I came back from those visits, each time I would tweak the way we approach corrections. So before I even went out there, we would do multi-step corrections and spot corrections. I would wet sand the crack. Everything was to perfection, no matter what it took. Chasing the ego. And then after that, right now, we hardly do any multi-step corrections here at the shop, boys. One steps and enhancements. And if they got to do a multi-step correction, they'll have the customer sign a waiver.
Okay.
Paperwork.
Someone asked a question a little bit ago, and I would think it'd be a good segue. Brian, what are your top 3 favorite one-step compound polishes?
One step so that's going to be Phoenix EOD's Papa Cut. That is it's on the upper end of the more aggressive of a one step, but we use it surrounded with all types of different pads. 3D1, since Phoenix came out with theirs, it showed me how oily 3D1 is.
You didn't know?
Well, it never bothered me because it performs so well. The alpha ceramic alumina abrasives they have in both their ACA 500 and 3D1, I love them. Fantastic job. And then PNS Rehab to me is a one step if you surround it with the right pads, and does a wonderful job.
I haven't tried that one. I'll have to check it out.
You would enjoy it. I believe you would enjoy it.
Have you ever tried the Angel Wax compounds?
Yes. I started with them when I started with the channel. Angel Wax was on all of my shelves, every one. I still love them to the all-in-one, fantastic. The Angel Wax
Enigma.
all-in-one. Yep.
Yeah, that is a really good one. I sometimes reserve that. They're like liquid gold for me, and they are a little pricey. So I reserve them for like really bad situations.
Yep.
But I don't know where would you fall, like, as far as for a paint enhancement, what would be some of the products that you would recommend in that realm?
Oh, that's easy. Fab Finish from Phoenix EOD. Those two there, the boys, they have them next to their shelf along with other things. It's not just Phoenix EOD, but Fab Finish and Papa Cut are right next to them. And then what they do is they just have like a half circle of different pads from wool to microfiber to the 50/50 Eurofiber pad, and then break down into those into those foam pads, open cell, closed cell, European open cell, and then they have the Roops fine finish and ultra fine down at this end to finish up.
And then a lot of people loving Rehab. Apparently, I need to figure this out, so I'm going to be ordering Rehab now.
I believe you'd enjoy it.
Oh, yeah. Have you tried Zizzer? Zvizzer?
I just came across that today again. I haven't had the pleasure, but maybe it'll be on my ordering list.
I know. Eddie's been talking about them. He says they're pretty good. If Eddie says something slaps, I got to take it a little bit seriously, but... yeah. Let's keep going with some of these questions. And you guys, if you have questions, I don't want to take us too long into the night because you're still at the shop. You got to get home.
I'm always at the shop late. That's when I get to do my work. That's when it's quiet. The air compressors are going. The polishers aren't going. I get to do my work. I get the lifts. That's the perk of handing the shop to my son. I get weekends and night times.
Go Jen wants to know, Brian, what is the official speed setting for finishing on a rotary? 2 to 3 or 3 to 4?
Some like to have that rotary buzzing at the higher speeds, 4, 5, and 6. I like mine down at around 2.
Okay. And what kind of pad do you like to use when you're finishing?
So the Car Pro has, what is that? It's a white pad. I forget, even the back's worn off, so the name of it isn't there anymore. black application pads, the ultra fine pads from Rupees and Car Pro has a gloss. That's it. It's the gloss pad.
Okay.
Those three there, I'll finish down with.
Have you ever tried the red jeweling pad from DIY? How would you
Oh
rate
yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah. I forgot about that one. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I just did a test on using Ivan's polishers, the cordless ones, testing the DA to cut and finish with a rotary. And I never finished with the rotary. I don't really like the rotary, and it actually worked really well. I was kind of boggled by it. And I had a lot of people like arguing with me in it because when I did a rotary first and finished with a DA, I was using the same pads as I did with the DA rotary in that order. And they were like, nah, you should have used like a serious compound. You should have used a normal wool pad and 45-degree angle and ripped it. And I'm like,
Wait,
okay, but
what did they say for the 45-degree angle? Which
well,
policy?
just I should have like with the rotary. They're
Oh no,
like they
you don't want to
basically
have
said
it
I
on
wasn't
uneven.
using a rotary the way a rotary should be designed because I had it at a lower speed with like the purple wool pad, and I wasn't trying to create marring or holograms or anything like that. So I kept it at a lower speed, and they were like, "Nah, you should have sent it." And I'm like, "But that okay." I get it.
With today's finishes, there is no sending it. There is no just send it. If you want to be responsible and if you want to take care of your own car,
Yeah.
you when I'm using the rotary, it's going to be flat for the most part, unless I'm trying to get into curvy areas or work on
Hmm.
peaks. Or sometimes, even for me, if the pad dries out a little bit, starts to skip, you want to take it up or a 10 or 15-degree angle, and that smooths it out again. But I always keep it as flat as I can. I'm always looking for an even, consistent cut. I'm not a mow down or a plow guy. Um, so it's probably going to seem boring. I know some say they like to watch my rotary videos to fall asleep to because it's so methodical. But that's really the way it should be done because then it's consistent. You know what you're going to get every time. It's not going to be one little area dug out because of a mow down method or it is a method to get things done quick. It's just not responsible, if you ask me.
Okay. CS Auto Tech and Detailing wants to know what three products from the Apex line are the ones you would say people should try to be wowed with. By the way, I've used several and love the Apex products, BC7 and BC10 for the win.
So we BC7, BC6, the wheel coating, and BC10
Okay.
are are impressive for our customers.
I will have to buy all three. I'll try them out.
And if you have any questions or concerns about those, anybody, you just I'm easy to reach, and I'm happy to help.
Oh, I told well, I will be messaging you if I have any questions. You know I do.
Absolutely.
He wants to know, does the number system have anything relative or were they in the order that you came out with the products?
They were simply the order that they came out
Okay.
in, and because all of us here worked on them, you know, that just made sense how to do that and have them on our shelf to make it quick for the boys to jump in there and grab a bottle and keep working. Everything here is about being efficient and keeping things high quality. So, uh, from what we do out on the floor to how we have our back shelf set up is all about efficiency.
Okay. Someone wants to know what video editing tools do you guys like to use? And by the way, you have one of the most epic intros.
Uh, my my editing tool is boring. It's iMovie. That is it. It's an app on my phone because I record on the what is it now? The app 16. It's probably 2 out since I bought it, but
Yeah, it's the 16 is the most recent one.
I just keep getting because you would have to spend, let's just take the 16 for a second. You would have to spend $1,600 to $1,800 to outdo that with, say, your normal
Hmm.
Sony camera. So when I was told that, I was like, well, I'll just keep getting the phone. And I get great deals on the phone. So record on them and finding the right audio equipment, your lavalier mics, and then I upload and do all the editing from iMovie, and it goes straight up from there to YouTube and makes it simple. And then in the morning, I'll put my title and all the other jazz.
I film everything on my iPhone 15 Pro.
It's hard to
Um,
beat.
yeah, I edit everything. I film on my phone. I edit everything on my phone like you. I've tried doing it on a PC and I can't, I've learned it on this so well that it's really hard for me to like, it feels slower on a PC,
Oh,
whereas
it
on
takes
my
twice
phone,
as long.
yeah, on my phone, I can just get it all done. Mind you, I'm probably going blind because because I
It,
can't see so well. But I use an app called InShot, and I pay for the premium. It has a lot of really nice features. For shorts, I will actually edit in InShot, and then I will export it and then upload it into CapCut and do the captions, the AI captions, and that's sometimes nice for shorts and things like that because I feel like everyone's doing the captions nowadays. And then I use what's the epidemic sound for all of my music. It's copyright free, so you don't have to deal with your monetization being taken away from you. You probably don't do music. I
Not
do.
anymore. I used to, and I used to love it. I used
Yeah.
to like to have that. But you would have one that was copyright free for the first 3 years, and
Mm-hmm.
then all
And
of a
then they
sudden,
would take it
yeah.
from you, and you're like, ah. So that's why I do the epidemic sound. I think it's like 15 a month, but for
I don't
me,
do any. So when I do like your fast forward, your capture, I
mm,
just leave it silent because I've
okay.
had viewers say, we don't mind that it's silent every once in a while. We don't have to have something going on every single moment of the video.
I get unnerved by silence sometimes, like personally. Like when I'm watching videos, I like a cool beat. I'm more of a hip hop R&B type girl when I do it, or sometimes I'm in a jazz mood, so I'll do like a piano jazz thing. I don't know. I just want it to be relaxing. I'm not trying to do like ASMR type stuff. I did that once. My viewers did not like it. I got yelled at for they were like, never again, Chelsea. I was like, okay, I'll never whisper
Yeah,
ever
it seems
again in a
like only
video.
a certain few can get away with the.
Yeah, my daughter was like, "Mom, try a whisper video. They're really trendy right now." And I did, and I got scolded so bad by you guys. It was awful. I'm gonna stick with what I'm good at, but I do like to have music in mind. So the epidemic sound, you don't have to deal with the monetization being taken away from you with that, and you don't have to deal with like putting the copyright or whatever stuff in the video description. So it is convenient for
So
that.
you've never had a problem with one all of a sudden
Not
being.
with the epidemic. When I
Huh.
used to do the free, like, because some apps will have free music, but you have to give the artist, this is the song name and the artist name, and you would have to
Yeah,
put
you
that
have to put
either
that
on
down
it
in
or in the
the
description. And I would
description.
do
Yeah.
that, and they would still take away the monetization.
Yep.
But with Epidemic Sound, I don't have to do any of that. You just have to register your channel with it. You pay the monthly fee, and it's good. So
Yeah, because it took it to happen to a video that was doing very well and going viral, and I was like, you son of a, and I never did no music ever again.
Epidemic Sound, man, you'll never have to do it. And you can just
I'll look into it.
zen out with your cool music. So, John wants to know for your No Direction podcast with Aaron, will you guys discuss national parks, sports, comedian, home improvements, grilling, smoking, cigars, bourbon? That sounds like everything.
All of the above. Yes, we will discuss all of that. Our
Okay.
our podcast is like a theme within a theme within a theme. We're going to start with detailing, and it doesn't last very long because we go off the rails like we always do when he's up here, um, just chatting. And then cars, movies, music is going to be something coming up soon. Yeah, absolutely, all of the above. Comedians is a good one. There are a couple good comedians and some comedians that I wish I never would have went to see. Sports, yeah, absolutely sports.
What comedian do you regret seeing?
Dane Cook, the worst,
Okay.
the absolute worst.
Oh my gosh. He had a moment back in the what was it, 2000s? He was kind of big
Uh,
then.
Employee of the Month was the best thing he did. I love the movie. Funny as all heck. But going to see him live, it's like jamming a switchblade in your brain and twisting it for an hour and a half.
Well, I took Dave to see a comedian like 2 years ago, and I had watched all of this guy's specials on Netflix. He was hilarious. And we went and he literally said, "Oh, I've done all of this material for Netflix, so I can't do it again. So we're just going to wing it tonight." And it was so awful. It was
Yes.
like,
Some comedians cannot do it on the fly. They need a
yeah,
script.
yeah. Steve Pearson wants to know, Brian, what advancements or nice to haves do you hope to see in coatings over the next 5 to 10 years? Good question, Steve.
A coating that can deal better with paint chips because it would make it easier and more attainable for some detailers out there to be able to protect cars from rock chips and not have to use PPF, because PPF is difficult. It takes years to learn how to properly read the film and become quick and efficient with it. You can start doing it rather quick. I sent the boys to 3-4 different teachers when it comes to film, so they could pick up different things from one guy, not their bad habits, but different approaches from different teachers. I would love to have. Now, there are coatings that claim to do that out there. I'm not going to name them, but I've seen them after a period of time, and I'm not impressed with it. Or them. There's a couple.
What coatings have caught your eye recently?
Anything with polysilazane to me checks all the boxes when it comes to the feel, the durability, the look. And now that I'm on this side of the curtain when it comes to coatings and with the chemistry, polysilazane to me is still a rung up on the ladder compared to your basic SiO2 coatings.
Now, do you see manufacturers combining those things?
Oh yeah, they have. I mean, they're combining standard polysilazane and SiO2 with graphene and titanium and Teflon, you name it.
What was the one? Borphine?
Oh, Borphine, and then they went from Borphine to Trifene, and by now they're to Octafene, I'm sure. I don't want to get started with them either. I'll have another retainer.
Another lawsuit on your cease and desist.
I'll have to drop another 5 on the retainer.
That's funny. Be like Will Smith, get my wife's mouth out of your name.
It's a shame you can't speak your mind anymore in today's world with the last 5-10 years. You can't be completely transparent.
Yeah. Well, especially when you are a competitor, they probably get triggered more by it.
Yeah. And the law is, unfortunately, some of the law, is there to protect them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's.
Brian, any plans to bulletproof that 6.0 Power Stroke?
Well, bulletproof diesel has they're probably happy with my credit card right now because I've been spending a lot of money with them. It's already been studded. Everything else is, there's no EGR delete, but I believe now we can do that with this administration. So we'll see where that goes. I love the 6. It gets a bad name, but I love the motor. It just sound. There's no diesel that sounds as good as a 6.0 to me, to my ears, anyways.
We've got a few more questions, and I have just a few more questions that I want to ask you before we get. So if you guys do have questions for Brian, get them in now, because we're going to we're near the end of the podcast episode. Brian, what's your favorite hydrophobic windshield sealant?
Well, that would be BC4. So that is and not just because it's mine, but out of all of them that I've tested, and even though I want to go back to that just real quick. Even though I say I'm glad I'm not testing anymore, that was very important with the information that I got to come up with my own product line, because I would see a characteristic that I enjoyed and I would implement that. And then I'd Frankenstein it together. And that's how I came up with a lot of the formulas that I did. But BC4 is a very quick and easy spray sealant to use. You don't need a lot of it. You'll be around the car quickly, and it will give you, a month or two of that hydrophobic response that you want to keep the windshield clean.
No wiper judder though.
It plays well with most. There is no coating or sealant out there that plays well with 100% of the wipers because they're all different. They're different manufacturers, different materials, and some get a little jittery.
What's your trick for wiper judder?
I'll hit the wipers with the glass at the same time and coat them both.
Okay. Humberto wants to know, do you find scissor sort of similar to honey combination pads?
Honey combination pads, they're great. That I hope the company is doing well since they reached out. That was years ago. They reached out to me, one of the first YouTubers that to kind of get introduced to them. A great bunch of people. I don't know if they're still owned by the same people. Great pads, and they started to come out with their correction fluids and everything. So I hope they're doing well. I always enjoyed them. They weren't the easiest to get a hold of because they didn't have a site at that time. You had to go through their Facebook or their Instagram page or something like that to get a hold of an order. Hopefully all of that is easier now. And I would say if it is, that I need to test more of the Switzer, or however you say that.
Switzer. I mean, if we're going to phonetically sound it out, it's Switzer.
Switzer.
Someone tell me how to phonetically sound it out down below,
or maybe it's just a silent S, Vizzer, or a silent V, scissor.
Sometimes the English language.
I never was concerned about. I used to catch hell in the comment section when I used to do because I could never pronounce any. I'm not even.
I'm
sure
a very literal person.
Is it Roops? Is it Roopsies? I don't care. I just want to know how it performs. I let it up to every other person to pronounce it right.
It took me years to figure out how to say griots. Like I was like griots.
Right, griots.
Yeah. Okay. So we have a few more questions here.
Sure.
Brian, I'm from Connecticut. I'm a 3-hour, 45-minute drive from you. Do you host training events or know of any good trainings anywhere near between Connecticut and PA?
Yes, we normally host 3 per year, a spring session, summer, and fall session. But with the transition of what we're doing here, trying to get this over to my son 100%, we were going to take probably the year off from training and then pick it back up next year, 3 or maybe even more. And I'll still be heavily involved there for all 3. It's a 2, depending on what we do, it's a 2 or 3 day session, and they're very affordable.
Have you adventured into the multiple pH contact wash products, or do you stick with pH neutral Apex Auto Wash?
No, the what is that? Cosmetica, Labo Cosmetica, the 3 pH system. Once I started using that, we stocked up on it. We use that here every day. First, we hit it with the pH neutral, and then if we're having problems, if we think it's hard water, obviously, then you go acidic, and then if it's traffic film, the alkaline one. And
so you start with pH neutral.
We get it clean first, and then see how it reacts with water. And then if there's a problem, like if you have that distinct line halfway down the car where it's from traffic film that the tire spit up there, we'll hit those areas with the high pH, and that normally clears it up. And if we're having problems on the tops, there's a lot of quarries up here, as I'm sure there is down there.
A ton.
So the top.
We're near Quarryville.
Yeah, exactly. So if we see the top of a car flat, then we'll hit it with those, the slightly acidic one.
And good news is any of you want to try them out, they're available over at the House of Rags.
How about that?
And you can use coupon code A2D10 to save 10% off. How's that for shilling, Brian? Don't tell me I can't do it. I hate that so bad. I'm just teasing. All right. Let's see. We had one more question. I think we answered all of them. Okay. So here's my questions that I wanted to ask you real quick. Okay. What has been your greatest lesson that you've learned as a business owner?
I'm still learning them to this day. I'm still learning them, but communication with the customer to set expectations before you start the job is the most important thing you're going to learn. And being able to putting your sales hat on. I know a lot of great detailers that can polish the crap out of a car and but they don't know how to communicate with customers. That is a just a losing scenario. You have to have your sales hat on. You got to be able to communicate. I talk my customers' ears off until they're ready to run out the door and just run from me. But that's what you got to do.
What are some things that help develop that skill for those that aren't good at it?
Just your repetitive. The more you talk to and the more you converse with that are total strangers, that's how you break down that barrier within yourself to get more comfortable. I'm still not comfortable when somebody walks in and I don't know who they are. I'm still not comfortable with it, but I'm good at reading them now to try to match their personality. If I have, a nice older lady that comes in, she's soft spoken. That's my demeanor towards them. If I have, the big tall guy that comes in, deep voice, and he grabs my hand and breaks it during the handshake, that's what I try to, it's something you pick up. How to read people and how to interact with them, because once a connection's made, you got the sale. If somebody comes to visit your shop in person and you don't have them in your books with 35% down, to me, that is a complete loss.
You take a deposit for every customer?
All the any coding or larger job,
Okay.
35% down, and then you don't have to worry about ghosting on your appointment day and messing up
Mhm.
your schedule. I recommend that to everybody that does it for a living.
What improvements or changes would you like to see in the detailing industry?
Clarity when it comes to these detailing products, um, being open and not what's not being over
Transparent?
dramatic when it comes to what they can do, and just all these unrealistic claims, especially when it comes to coatings and PPF. It's going that way for PPF as well. PPF isn't 100%. There's nothing out there that is bulletproof, or it doesn't need to be maintained on a regular basis. And I just wish more honesty would come from companies.
Do you feel like PPF is the future of the detailing industry more so than coatings, or do you feel like they're the new coatings?
Yeah, I think it's already there. I think it's already replaced it when it comes to certain things, but it's the cost that holds it back.
Do you think it'll ever go down?
No, no, it's only going to climb, and that's not the behind the scenes. The one of the most expensive things is now becoming the software. If you use a plotter, just to use for an example, one company, I'm not going to name them, they're almost at $600 a month just to use their software, so you can load it onto the plotter and cut some patterns.
Wow.
We moved on from them, but we like to do a combination of bulk and plotter installs, so we do our own cutting.
What are the median prices for PPF?
Expensive. It's very expensive, and I'm actually sometimes surprised that we get so many customers that can swing it. Let me give you an example. Our most popular package is something nicknamed the track package, named from our Porsche club, and it protects the front. It protects the lower part of the car, lower doors and rockers, your mirrors, your A-pillars, and sometimes a partial roof, and sometimes some other small things. That one's 35 to 3,800 bucks to start.
Now, what
You
is
can
your
add.
cost for the PPF?
So the PPF is a couple $1,000s a roll, depending
Wow.
on what you get. And if you get the fashion film, it's more expensive. It depends on the size of your plotter. If you need to order a 48-inch roll, a 60-inch roll, or a 72-inch roll, the prices all vary, but it's all very expensive.
So
And
typically,
then,
what's your return on investment?
well, I was going to say, don't forget about your employees then, because you have to if you have good installers, and I'm lucky to have two and a half. Now I have a new one coming on that's getting good. My two installers are incredible, and if you want to keep them, you have to take care of them. You have to pay them. You have to keep them on staff, and that costs a lot of money too. And then you have the overhead of the shop. So that's why those packages are so expensive, but it's worth it, because if you take that compared to getting rock chips on your car, having to go paint it, then you have body shop overspray runs and tape marks if they don't do it right, and it's a nightmare that people want to avoid. So it's popular, very popular.
How, like, what is the lifespan of PPF
So
before you?
realistically, it's going to start getting beat up immediately. It is there to be the sacrificial layer to your car. A lot of customers, and that's where communication comes in, at first think it's going to be an extension of the beauty of your car. Now, PPF should never take away from the beautiful look of your car, but it's unless you're getting fashion film, which is even more expensive. You never should look at it as something that's going to go in your car perfect. It doesn't come on the roll perfect. So going on the car, it's not 100% perfect. It's not going to stay perfect long at all. It gets beat up. When it comes to the yellowing and peeling, that if you have the right films like we do, we went through half a dozen to a dozen to find the right company to stick with. If you find the right film, it's going to hold up. And if you have us maintaining it for you, it'll hold up as well.
When it comes to removing the PPF, do you guys find that there's difficulties with that? Like, because I've seen some nightmares where you go to pull the PPF and poor paint quality, it's taken the paint with it. Is that a rare thing that happens with PPF?
No, it's common. It's common, and it happens a lot, and it's going to happen more and more because as we transition to the water-based clear, we're now at about 66%. It's not even halfway, and clear is already so soft and thin. But with water-based clear, it can come with your PPF if you're not careful. And take your time. Get it hot with a steamer, a heat gun, or just pour hot water on if you have to. Take your time, pull it back at the right angle as well, or it's going to come with the clear coat.
So I'm struggling to understand what is the real benefits then of PPF if there is a high likelihood that it could take the paint with it, which is a respray, or we have rock chips, which is a respray or a touch-up paint or whatnot. How do you sell PPF to your customers who have those concerns?
Well, it's a no-brainer if you have the installers that are trained and know what they're doing. Even though they're young, the boys have a lot of experience now doing it. And if you have that, you have no worries of it taking clear off. If you have somebody that's new to it and they just a lot of installers that are taking it off would love to just grab it and peel back as hard as they can, dry, and that's going to bring it with. You have to put your time into taking it off. And then as it gets older, that's another story because then it starts to crack and break up and comes off in little Post-it stamp sizes, and that takes you all day to get it off.
I saw a reel the other day. It actually made me think of your shop manager because someone had their dog
She's
pulling the
snoring.
PPF off of a car because the owner was so frustrated. So he had the dog literally like jerking it. And I was like,
Yeah,
that's
it's
gonna
not a
be,
good idea.
yeah,
Not
that's
a good
not
idea.
very good. So you definitely don't want that person handling your PPF removal.
No.
Oh. The devil's in the detail says, is PPF advised for cars that aren't garaged, and does it shorten the lifespan?
So paint protection film is a car that's not garaged and is daily driver benefits more from PPF and coatings more than your garage queen ever will. But the garage queen, say it's a Corvette or a Lamborghini, you don't want to take it out and just have your first rock chip or any rock chip. So they'll put it on practically 3/4 of the car, the whole car, just to avoid one chip. Where a daily driver, what you're avoiding is having that bumper, lower rocker worn down over time to complete primer, which will happen with these newer vehicles.
J Farm 13 wants to know what's more profitable between PPF and ceramic.
Not even close. PPF is because it's so expensive. Um, uh, if you can be quick and efficient with coatings and get them out in half a day, including the polishing, then ceramic can actually pull ahead and be profitable if you could fit 2 to 3 coatings a day and then fill that whole week out. But you got to be quick. You have to communicate with the customer, see if they want it completely corrected or spot corrected, where it can cut down on the correction time. Some don't even see what we see and wouldn't say a word if you coated, after a proper wash and full decon without polishing. But to me, I always got to do at least a cleaner polish, something like Angel Wax Perfect Polish. We love to do that just to cleanse the palette for the film. So we'll go around real quick with either one guy or a couple guys and get it done in, 40 minutes or so.
How long does it take for you to do PPF?
Paint protection film is a 4-day process. The car is here, one full day of prep. At the end of the full day, we're plotting out the film, and then we're peeling all the stuff from around the edges, and then maybe we get to lay the first piece or two at the end of the first day.
So you're
Uh,
doing one car, it takes 4 days. You've got
yep,
two guys doing it,
yep,
but you're saying PPF is more profitable?
yeah, because we'll have them go back and forth when they put a piece on, and if they have to wait for it to dry, which they do, then I could fit 10 cars in here. So we'll have them put a car to the side and go to another one. And we'll juggle them that we can do multiple cars per week.
Okay. Because, well, I'm just seeing some interesting, because CS Auto Tech, Conway, ceramic coatings are way more profitable, which I probably would say that because in my world, I mean, one, I don't do PPF. Um, I I don't know, is it profitable to do it as one person? Like, what can one person do with PPF? Well,
One person can do everything if you learn how to unroll the film and be able to unroll and get a bumper on there or a hood. Uh, you have to be able to know how to do it yourself, because sometimes people take off and
mhm.
you are by yourself. But being efficient is the way to make the money in PPF.
Conway wants to know, what's the investment cost to do PPF? 20,000 or more?
To break into it, I order 20, 30, or 40,000 of a skid to have it here for the season. You don't have to, just get one roll at a time. Because then we're talking about, we do tint here as well. So we're talking about all the rolls. We get it on a skid, and that could be a huge hit, but you're going to make that back times 5 or whatever.
So, do you feel like if someone has a shop, for them to stay relevant and to stay profitable with the technology that is out there nowadays with detailing, they should look into PPF? Like, do you feel like it is a must-have for shops to stay relevant?
Not to stay relevant, because you're always going to need your basic cleaning, but
Mhm.
with the paints becoming so soft and thin, it's a necessity that people are always searching for. So we're always going to have it here as part of it. And we never recommend to do a whole car. Only the most susceptible areas of a car, like your front bumper, lower rockers, sometimes a hood if it curves down, your mirrors and A-pillars. We have a lot of customers that come in that want to do the whole car. We're like, that's a lot of film to care for, and it's going to be a huge expense, where you can team it up with a coating, do susceptible areas with PPF, coat the rest. It's a cheaper package. You can get done quicker, and it's less for you to worry about.
Okay. All right. Do you guys have any more questions for Brian about PPF or any of the services that he has? Because I have my final question. I'm going to give you guys one last chance to get them in before we wrap this up. Brian, the last question that I always ask people on my podcast is, if you could go back in time and give advice to your younger self, what would you say to him?
Um, I'd probably say start the YouTube channel earlier, and I probably wouldn't have gotten into the trucking portion of it. I did that for 15 years. I probably should have just stayed full time with detailing instead of doing it part time. So I would have told myself to be more, what's the word I'm looking for? Just more focused.
Okay.
I was all over the place when I was a young lad.
I know a lot of people. I feel like that is a common answer that I get from people. I should have just done it sooner. I should have just been all in and not hesitated. It's definitely, I feel like one of those things. I think if I were to answer that question for myself, I don't think I've ever actually answered that question on my podcast. I think honestly, it would be to not be so concerned about what other people think about me and to just trust my gut and to just be confident in who I am. And at the end of the day, the right people will follow you when they see you're being your true self. So,
Well, if I could give any advice to anybody that is looking to get into it or wants to change, kind of how they approach things, just with your customer expectations, be real with them, be transparent with them. Um, Everything will be so much easier. The customer being educated by you, honestly, it's one of the biggest part of this business.
yeah. We have a few questions that snuck in real quick.
Sure.
Favorite masking tape?
3M Precision, that is the light lime green color. Now, they have two different types of greens or three different green, but this is a low profile masking tape that your pad goes over without lifting up and getting that adhesive on the pad, which drives me nuts.
Brian, what's the cost before the film, such as plotter, software, tools, etc., to do PPF?
Okay, so the plotter, you're looking, depending on the size, you're looking between 5 and 8 grand. The software, now, if you go with, I don't know if I should name names. Some are 600. One we're dealing with right now that's growing and it's getting better, and we're helping them, is 175 per month. The tools are very inexpensive. You get those off of Amazon in groups and packages. The training was quite expensive, and you want to start off with at least one trainer, and you could be looking at 1,500 or higher, depending on how long their session is. That's very important. So it takes quite a bit to get into it full time.
What was your reasoning behind Apex Auto Wash? I have contact dermatitis and having a scentless, colorless soap works out for me well. I still wear gloves though.
An auto wash, any shampoo really with a scent or a color, to me is silly because it's not needed. Just their surfactant, the lubrication. That's all I look for.
You're such a straight shooter.
I don't
You're
have
like,
time to
I
do
don't need
anything else,
frills. Who
and I
needs
don't want to
banana
waste
scented
anybody
soap?
else's time with BS. BS to me is such a waste. Direct and forward is how I've always been.
It looks like this is the last question we're going to take for tonight. Ceramic coated PPF, how does it hold up? Is it worth it? Or do you
Okay,
just coat over PPF?
great question. So we do coat over PPF. The self-healing layer and the coating layer that are toppers on these films will not make it the warranty period. I've noticed that the self-healing layer and the coating layer will start to fade within about 3.5 years. And then that when we put the coating layer on there, that helps that. But if you just have the film by itself, you will see those two characteristics fade within 3.5 years. Now,
Okay.
what the strength of them, they're doing much better in yellowing than compared to back in the day when you had what was it called, clear bra. They were thick, they were gaudy, they looked horrible, they yellowed within the first year. They do a lot better, with the cracking, the yellowing, crow's feet, the adhesive issues. They're doing a lot better with.
So do you just ceramic coat over PPF? That's what you would recommend?
Yep, we put the PPF down first and coat everything.
And do you do your BC10?
BC7 or BC10. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right. Well, there you have it, guys. Thank you so much for sending your questions in. Brian, thank you for sharing your knowledge with all of us, not only tonight, but for all the videos and just over the years. You are a gem within this industry. So thank you.
I'm just another detailer in the trenches, but I'm so happy that you had me on, and I'm honored, and
Well, hopefully,
I'm happy to have been able to connect with some of you viewers. And if anybody ever has any questions, don't hesitate.
well, thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Next week, we're going to be having Brad Orman from Black Rhino Car Care on. He is going to be sharing with us some of the new products that they're going to be releasing and talking about why he's actually giving away a part of his company, which he seems kind of bizarre. I don't think he likes money, but this guy just really wants to give stuff away. So, for those of you that want to know more about Black Rhino or Brad Orman, or possibly find out how you can win like a company or own a company, like tune in. But thank you, Brian, again for sharing your evening with us. Thank you guys for watching.
My pleasure.
And as always, we will see you guys in the next podcast. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you, Brian.